Hey everyone! When we last left our heroes, we had rescued a pair of hobbit children in the woods, defeated a giant spider, found a dead dwarf's remains, and looted an Arnorian tomb. I do like the idea of Arnorian ruins in the Shire. It's a theme in the book that, the hobbits were not actually the first people in their land, and that others would live there long after they're gone. But it's not something that gets dealt with in the books to any great extent. On the other hand, not crazy about the whole piece of Andoril there. That would have, I thought, be kept closer. Oh, look, wolves. I And keeping in line with that these are Arnorian ruins, we can find some Athelis, one of the plants from Western S. Right now we don't have anyone with herb lore that can use it, but assuming we do or we trade it to someone who does, we can get some healing out of the plants. We've actually taken some damage. Frodo's got 2 hits. I think Sam or Pippin got hit too. Yeah, Pippin got hit for 3. Okay, yes, we've been there. And we're just going to follow the road along. We have to give her the key now or later. We actually get hit by her because assault apparently is not part of the Shire Code of Law, but we give her the keys and we won't get arrested later. I think now's as good a time as any to demonstrate if we eat the rations, we'll have healed 2 hit points, and you can only eat once per day. That's about the only practical thing of the day-night cycle I can think of. Oh, how lame, how sad. Stop saving the world to run down a lost dog. That's, what we do. But it's a role-playing game of the 1990s, so it doesn't really matter how long we take. Dog doesn't seem to want to go with us. We can't use recruit. But Sam's charisma skill will let the dog accompany us. Dog looks an awful lot like a wolf, especially since Tolkien does do some stuff with the divides between dogs and wolves, like Charcaroth versus Huon. I would have thought they'd have tried to make at least a little bit of an effort to distinguish the two. But we return the dog, we get a warning to stay away from Buckland Bridge, and we get a shovel. I'm sure we'll find a use for that. Yay, birds. This is the mill. There's, if we sneak past them, we can, he doesn't have sneak, but Pippin does. We can vandalize this bit of machinery. Yeah, let's push the buttons. Paragraph 82. The machine starts to rattle and spit and make foul noises. The steam reminds you of Gandalf's fireworks. The men get up with a start and you realize you should get away before they get you. Crawling through a window, you safely escape into the night. There's a lot of screaming behind you, drowned out by the roar of the huge engine as something explodes. That has some minor effects later in the game, but it won't do much to stop Saruman's plans to industrialize the Shire. Over here we have a tavern. We could buy some ale, but we have better things to do with our money. Daisy, if we'd come by here earlier before rescuing her sister, she'd be the one who tells us about the quest. I mentioned earlier, in general, I'm just going to go and get things. I'm not going to follow the list of conversations that you need to find out about, like in this case, find out that Daisy needs rescuing and then go into the woods. Okay. We get some rations. And we're going to have Pippin eat some right now so that he heals up. Oh, that's not a good sign. If he doesn't... A dwarf that's hostile to Baggins. I should spell it correctly. But okay, we can give him the axe. And we've added Druin to our little gang. Druin has a much higher strength than any of the hobbits. He's got a good number of hit points, but he's kind of slow. He's also strong enough to actually use the axe. I'm going to give Frodo the armor. Cloth armor isn't that good. It reduces 1 damage per hit, but still, he's the ring bearer. We got to protect him. He knows help, and skill-wise, he's good with axes, dwarf lore, picklock, and perception. And some more notices. And if we return Freddy to his father, and we get a pony. Ponies have no skills and no magic. They also can't use most items, or most items in general. Sometimes you can give them more than the standard 10 items, but I think that's a glitch. I've done it a couple of times, and then sometimes the items don't come back, so I'm going to try to avoid giving stuff to the pony wherever possible. We just making our way to where we want to go. Through Green Hill Country. There's... Oh, look, a hole. Oops, we fell into a pit. But we don't seem to have taken any damage. And look, a bird. Oh, look, another giant spider. This should be a bit of an easier fight with Druin. If he can hit anything, but yeah, hits for 5. Combat remains fairly basic, just kind of running up to enemies and hitting them as hard as you can. Good. Paragraph 196 has the brown bird spreads its wings. For a moment you have the impression of a face like Gandalf's, maybe a bit younger. A voice comes from the bird speaking in the common tongue. If you have not found the elves, seek them at night on the roads leading to the Green Hill Country. Ask them about Elbereth, for her name has the power to protect you, as will the name of Luthien, but that one you will not learn there. The old forest is long and hard and dangerous, but the enemy will not follow you there. Seek the master of the forest, call for help in dire need. Gandalf, Gandalf. Then the bird is gone. Whoops. Nothing else here, so let's get back out. Oops. Let's be a bit more dexterous. Black Rider, uh-oh. But we will be saved by the elves. Since it actually seems to be dependent on what direction you're going in when you run into the trigger, but I made sure to go there as, you know, from the right direction. Most directly importantly, this gives us the Elbereth word of power. We can now drive off a Nazgul with it. Let's ask Gildor about Elbereth. Okay. Now, I'm going to save because I'm going to show some stuff off that, you know, might have different outcomes. If we go east, we have the feeling that we're being watched. If we leave and re-enter, we get paragraph number 50. Just 1 second while I pull it up. A man steps out of the trees. He is a tall, handsome human dressed in brown clothes that look travel-worn, although they've been recently washed. He has a rough demeanor, as though he's lived all his life in the forest, even though he's rather handsome. It is unusual to see hobbits wandering alone in this part of the Shire. Hey, we've got a dwarf with us. Especially in such dangerous times. There are elves roaming this country, elves and far worse than elves. He notes your skeptical expression and takes a deep breath. You need protection on the road ahead. I can help you. For my services. Do we accept this guy? Hawkeye is actually pretty awesome. He has high stats. He doesn't know any magic. He's got some skills. He's one of the rangers. Why can't I trade? I guess I'm not close enough to Sam. He's got a sword and a bow. And he's basically a low-rent Aragorn. But if we hang out, we get attacked by an orc. Right, I give him a bow. And while the orc is swiftly dispatched, he gets panicked and takes us to his cave. Unfortunately, the Hawkeye's cave is like the most dangerous place in the Shire. We are quickly, as we enter the caves, he sees the alarm. Basically, we have a choice whether we can run or we can fight the Nazgul. Fighting the Nazgul is theoretically possible, although I think I already blew the trigger for it. But basically, if we run, Hawkeye is killed, and we can open his chest and get some stuff. But there is a better way if you care about min-maxing. So what we're going to do instead is we are going to go to Hawkeye's cave without him. We will need picklock to open the chest, but we do have 2 people with picklock, and that gives us a blade part, which is another piece of Aragorn's sword that's being kept in the Shire for some reason. Some money. We're now up to 130. Some rations. And a signet ring, which is mostly used if you get Hawkeye killed, which I think is what the game devs intended as the most normal outcome. But, okay, this is him offering his service again. This time, we are going to run and run fast. Ah, crap, didn't make it. If you avoid the orc, you can avoid this. This time I will try to fight the Nazgul, see if it works. But I think you just have to stand still to cause the Nazgul fight to trigger, actually. We'll give his bow to Sam. I'm just going to wait for a while to see if that can cause the Nazgul fight to trigger. Two Black Riders are here. Even the game warns us that we should have listened. Nazgul are very dangerous, but we can drive one away with Elbereth, and we're just going to have to fight the other one the old-fashioned way. Okay, well, the pony's expendable. Yeah, this ain't going so great. Let's give him some rations to keep him in the fight a little longer, because, yeah, you're just going to stop at the middle of a sword fight to have a meal. Oh wow, the Nazgul missed. They almost never miss. And I don't remember if I'd mentioned this in the last one. Each round that you are unconscious, you take a damage. So, Pony's dead, Pippin's dead, Druin's dead. But we do barely win. Anyway, that is not good. So, did we get the... Okay, we did get the stuff. Okay, let's try running this way instead. But if you get far and fast enough, you never encounter the orc, and thus you never go to Hawkeye's cave to get him killed. And we have a ranger in the party who is probably as strong as the rest of us put together. Looks like we got away clean. So let's continue our journey. Down here we get the... I do like the Hawkeye bit, by the way. There's a mention in the appendices that the rangers who are watching the Shire, because Aragorn keeps the Shire more or less constantly guarded, fight the Nazgul on the... Let me actually look it up real fast. Sorry, I'm just flipping through my copy of the appendices because I am that much of a nerd. This is on the events of the Third Age. September 22nd, Black Riders reach Sarnford at evening. They drive off the guard of Rangers. Gandalf overtakes Shadowfax. It's on the 23rd. 4 riders enter the Shire before dawn. The others pursue the Rangers eastward and then return to watch the Greenway. A Black Rider comes to Hobbiton at nightfall. Frodo leaves Bag End. Gandalf, having tamed Shadowfax, rides from Rohan. So, it is neat to have some nod towards the Rangers trying to delay the Black Riders in the game. And hey, we did a good thing. We saved one of them. If you remember the books, Farmer Maggot was a mushroom farmer, one of the sturdier hobbits down south, and Frodo being something of a juvenile delinquent in his boyhood, was chased off the farm for stealing mushrooms. But I'm sure it'll be like the books, and he will be happy to see us. More dogs that look like wolves. Another read paragraph. 24. There was a big man from foreign parts asking for Mr. Baggins. I told him to go back where he came from double quick or I'd set the dogs on him. Then he gave me a sort of hiss that might have been a laugh and spurred his great horse at me, and I jumped away only in the nick of time. After that I found my boy in the lane, and I don't know what happened to him. I was going off to get the healer, but I don't want to leave him. Will you go to the village and bring him back? It's not far and I'm very worried. He isn't waking up. So again, this takes something from the books. In the books, Farmer Maggot does talk to a Black Rider and tells him to stop trespassing. They added the whole bit about him running down the kid and us having to go get a healer. Interestingly, the healer is not in the village. The healer lives up in the forest here. So I don't know why Maggot doesn't know his way around. But apparently the healer is also telepathic, knowing that there's a need for his services without us having to tell him. I'm not going to look at his stats. He's going to leave the Fellowship as soon as we get him to the boy. If we don't have the healer with us, the dogs will attack us, and when we kill them, the boy will have died from seeing his dogs die or something. Healer crushes the leaves in the steaming water and bathes the wounds. There's a sweet fragrance, and the wounds close and heal. Good thing he doesn't take any of our Athelos. And in gratitude, we get some mushrooms. Mushrooms are better than rations. They heal 3 hit points per item consumed. Hawkeye still have his bow? Yeah, he does. Okay, we're almost where Mary is. We're at the ferry. This conversation isn't quite as it was in the books. In the books, Mary and Pippin reveal their conspiracy once they get to Crick Hollow, the house that Frodo was going to move into. But in any case, here's our last Fellowship Hobbit, and I'm going to give him Hawkeye's bow, and then we'll show off his stats and stuff. Merry's actually a bit faster than Frodo. Decent luck, usual Hobbit strength, endurance, will. He knows help, and he has some skills, not as good ones as Frodo, but he adds boat to our company for all that's worth. And we are now in Buckland. Let's go to Brandy Hall. Oh, look, we can't get in. Esmeralda is the Brandy Buck's wife and the matriarch of the house, and apparently there's a ghost in the library. I'm not crazy about this little side quest. The Shire is supposed to be kind of the peaceful haven invaded from the outside. Having too many supernatural stuff like a ghost doesn't quite fit with the tone I think Tolkien was going for, and especially you'd think that she'd be frightened half to death by one. This is more, there's a ghost, so keep out. Fortunately, we can get past her with the application of charisma. I wonder what those good reasons are. It doesn't bother to mention them, but having done that, we can get in. So the ghost wants his pipe. If we try to read, the ghost throws pipe pieces at us and we can't get them. So let's loot Brandy Hall. We're at 130, so we're now at 140. Fatty Bulger is one of the other hobbits that's in the little conspiracy, one of Frodo's friends. Again, he's actually met in Crick Hollow. They seem to have merged that and Brandy Hall in this game. Okay, a friend of Gandalf is probably someone who we should get in touch with. Oh, a bottle. Well, I'm sure we'll find some use for that. This is an adventure game after all. And the gate key, which we will need to get into the Old Forest. And a pipe. You have to wonder how bad this hobbit's tobacco addiction was that it's literally keeping him past death to get another smoke. But, oh well, feed the addiction. What could possibly go wrong? With the ghost out of the way, we can read this. Most of this stuff are hints about the Old Forest. Stuff about the Black Alder. I plan on ignoring all of these hints because there is a shortcut through the Old Forest that I will demonstrate. But let's go look for Gandalf's friend. Apparently, Druin is something of an alcoholic, but he will be leaving the party. And here we find Ethelwyn. If you really do want to fight the Nazgul, by the way, in Hawkeye's Cave, you should probably get her first. But, okay. We can recruit, and we can just re-recruit Druin, so we are not letting you stay in the bar. Ethelwyn is the first person we can get who will actually have magic, so she's got some pretty nice stats. She's got some skills, mostly lores. She has some food with her. And she knows 4 spells: Illuminate, Unlock, Winter Chill, and Counter Magic. How real spell, unlike the Words of Power, like Help, which are used once and then they're gone, these spells are reusable, but every time we use one, you lose some life points. Illuminate provides light and basically replaces the need for a torch. Unlock will open chests and lock doors and stuff. Can generally replace keys and or pickpocket. Winter Chill is a combat spell that hits pretty hard, and Counter Magic will really, undo certain forms of magic. With that, I think we are ready. We have pretty much everything we can get from the Shire, and we are ready to go to the Old Forest. I will get down to the gate, which is this way, and off we go, like we did in the books, except with a bit bigger of a fellowship and not having the 6 ponies that they did in the... Oops, I must have gotten turned around. Gate's around here somewhere on the eastern edge. You actually can leave the Shire by means of the main road, but you'll have to fight a Nazgul to do it. And, well, as shown from the Hawkeye's cave fight, Nazgul are not tangled with lightly. And we get a little video thing. Yeah, so again, the books, this actually happens in Crick Hollow, not anywhere else, but yes, Fatty stays behind to impersonate Frodo. It's more to keep actually people from talking and word getting out that, Frodo had vanished. But yes, the Nazgul pay Crick Hollow a visit, and Fatty runs off very wisely. I like the little gasp face. Was empty and the ring had gone, so no more reason for them to hang around the Shire, so at least we've done something good for the hometown. And here we have the Old Forest, and this is where I will end this video. We'll resume later.